We came to the library with the intention of using robots to see how children think about time, but also with an openness to let the children be creative and let them experiment with the Ozobots. We had 3 hours at Dokk1. The first hour saw young children curious about what we were doing. This age group was not our main focus, but we thought it would be interesting to see what the younger kids would do with the robot. We found that two girls of similar age both chose to draw without the Ozobot in mind at the beginning. One of the girls was there with her dad. He sat down at the table and started drawing paths for an Ozobot. He showed his daughter what he had made. After a few minutes she decided to draw paths herself, and when her older brother joined in the activity she really got into using the Ozobots. According to Dewey's pragmatic learning theory, a more experienced person can support others to get better at explore the uncertain situations they meet along the way. After she started playing with Ozobots, she continued to develop how she drew. For example, figure lines the Ozobot was better at following than the thin ones she drew in the beginning. In informal learning, children learn so they can continue playing. Since our focus about time up to this point have been on time in a school setting, we had planned to see how the children of school age, which is from around 6 years old in Denmark, would navigate the Ozobot through a schoolyard. The older kids were given pre-drawn schoolyards with a swing set, football field and so on. We asked if they knew what the sound of the school bell means. They told us that it means recess is over. Then we asked them to imagine that the Ozobot was in one end of the schoolyard and the school in the other, and the bell has just rung. They had to get the Ozobot into lesson as fast as possible. But they needed to pick up some things on the way. The order of these things was decided by Henrik, who couldn't be at Dokk1 with us. We sent a photo of the 4 things through a Facebook group and he responded with the order. The first child that tried this was with her father. They approached the task with the goal of getting the Ozobot to lessons fast. The next to try was a boy. He liked getting the Ozobot to drive fast. He knew it helped getting it to lessons sooner, but he got distracted and didn't go to the 4 things first, but went into lessons only to go back out again. We pointed this out to the boy, but he still chose to do things his own way, and we let him. Since this is an informal learning situation, the children are at the library for leisure and there is no set lesson plan. One older boy was given the task of building a path for the Ozobot that was the length of the whole table, with all the codes he wanted to use. To incorporate our theme of time, we asked how long he thought it would take for the robot to finish the track and time the run through.
Så vi har et bud på, at det vil tage 45 sekunder at køre. 30 til 45 sekunder, så var det du sagde? Ja, og køre.
Even though the children used the Ozobots in different ways, all who used it experienced the same thing. The robot didn't always do what they had intended for it to do. From finding out fixed lines are better to seeing the codes needed to be more precise. The concept of experience is, according to Dewey, a dynamic process between person and world, and every action has consequences that shows themselves in the reaction of the surroundings. It isn't experience when the child draws code from a piece of paper, but when they see that the codes they have drawn don't work and then adjust what they have drawn and from then on draw the code the way they have seen work, that is experience. Regarding time, the structure of our activity was very loose, and the way the Ozobots were used were different for different groups of users. The experience doesn't really tell us how we can use Ozobots to get children into their lessons faster. Maybe taking the activity from an informal learning situation to a formal learning situation could be interesting. We observed that the children giving a task left earlier than the ones without a task. An effectuation process is also a learning process. From the beginning of the project, we tried to force ourselves into not thinking about our end goal for our project at Dokk1. This means we spend a lot of time having a creative and open mindset. Some of the key phrases in entrepreneurship and also in our effectuation process are being reflective and experimental, spending time on defining problems before trying to fish for solutions. Our process let us pick the theme time. And we ended up going with the creative approach of using robots to try to see how we could use them to investigate and define time, maybe even change the way time feels.